Good evening, Lion Golf Academy members and guests, and welcome back to another episode of a swing analysis video on some old school golfers. We have Johnny Miller on the right, which some say is the PGA Tour logo, but come to find out I did some research on that because I always believed it was a Tour logo, but actually the designer of the Tour logo just used an average golfer, just a combination of all the Tour pros. So we all know Jerry West is the logo for the NBA. There is nobody for the PGA Tour. That's just a little fun information for you. But let's take a look at, we have Adam Scott on the left and Johnny Miller on the right. And we can take a look at a couple of things that we can learn from each one of these postures. One on the left is obviously a modern day swing. The one on the right is more, a little bit funky, matches the clothes a little bit, but what you'll find out is one on the right actually does a lot of compensation moves that we no longer see on the tour as much anymore. We don't really see it nowadays, but that doesn't mean it's exempt today. There are some, couple of people out there that have a little bit of a weird motion, but most of the older players are homeschooled. The equipment wasn't quite as it is today. The technology wasn't quite as it is today. They were very feel-oriented player because they didn't have the teaching equipment like we have today. You'll see this camera today. You'll see the Minolta Swing Cam Vision. When we put people on there, we can really diagnose what's going on every single frame. Versus the one on the right, you just go see a bunch of blurriness, and it's really hard to find out what's going on. So we see a lot of this in the older school players. But we're going to take a look at a couple of things that each one does correctly, and we'll also take a look at the footwork. Because, I'm under the impression that if you have quiet feet, your career is going to last much longer than if you don't have quiet feet. And we can learn something from that too, because as amateurs, most of our feet are not quiet. We just, bounce around, move left, right, up, down, and we can really injure ourselves at some point, especially when we get older. Setting up, see a lot of these older school players like Johnny Miller on the right side, setting up much closer to the golf ball. This is very common. It's a very up and down motion. A lot of reverse C going on because if you're so close to the golf ball, it makes it harder to turn. And what we'll see is the right leg actually gets stiff like a board to allow that thing to turn, to allow your body to turn, because there's no room for it to turn around, legs that are kind of braced a little bit. And as a result, they get that stiff right leg, they kind of lean into the left side, a little stack and tilt motion, and then they really have to clear that left side. And you see a lot of weird footwork going on with the old school players when they have to jump off their foot. Either the left foot spins out, the right foot comes out to create that room. And then you see a lot of whipping around. So really powerful motion. It's really solid. Left is a little bit more stable, definitely a lot more flexibility involved. Not to say that he's not flexible, Johnny Miller on the right side, but you'll see a lot less lower body action in terms of the footwork. And to me, the quietest feet have the longest careers. Take a look at what Tiger did. He quieted his feet down to stay, keeping up 45, 46, 47 years old to keep up with the rest of them. Quieted his feet down. So let's take a look. What we can tell right away is just the setup. A lot more bend going forward with Adam Scott, creating the more up and down motion. Look at the amount of spacing he has already between his hands and his legs, where Johnny Miller is not so much, but he's taller and he's on his back of his heels, which brings his hands closer, and that's where the problem starts with these older school players. As we take that club back to clear the room, watch Johnny Miller. He has to really pivot around that right hip and straighten that right leg to get that clearance room. You see they both reach the top plane line. Let me, the video shifted. Let me redraw the plane lines. Give me 1 second here. Okay, I just redrew the plane lines. So as he takes that club back, Johnny Miller, his right leg stays like a post. Left side breaks down more, and if we had the front view, you can see he starts to tilt into that left side, stack and tilt like. He's still trying to maintain his posture, which he does a pretty good job. Head hasn't moved much. They both get to the top plane line if we take a look when they get to the very top. So they do a really good job of getting to their own plane lines, that secondary plane line, and this is like a T for most touring professionals. They get to that secondary plane line almost perfectly every single time. Now, Johnny Miller's more steep, Adam Scott's a little bit more flatter, but it's all relative to that spine angle. Now, this is the move that will shorten careers or keep your career going longer. One on the left obviously will keep the career going longer. The one on the right will shorten the career. And you'll see, to get that club back down to plane, Johnny now has to do a lot of manipulation with that lower body, whereas Adam Scott will still have that sort of a bracing motion with his feet, with his legs, while his feet just kind of transfer that energy, and he's a lot more quieter, specifically in the trail foot. So on the way down, we see a little manipulation starting already. So Johnny Miller has to really tuck that right side underneath to get to that lower plane line sooner, and then from there he's really going to drive that lower body out the way and kind of see what he can do from there. So as we get down to the impact zone, there's the impact zone. See how close those hands are. I know it's very blurry, but we can still see how close those hands are to his thighs, where Adam Scott is still a lot of room here. Still both in their posture, but look at the footwork. You can see those legs already bracing down and really spinning out. And as we keep going forward, we can see hands already out in front. It's just basically turning around a steady posture. Footwork's much quieter. Here's that right foot really driving and flipping, because as that right foot and right heel have to clear out, you know, the whole body has to stay down. And this is what causes some of these lower back injuries. So if you take a look at these two positions here past impact, let's go one frame back. Okay, so if we redraw the spine angle, I mean, look at that hip. The hip is completely open. The right foot's really jumping up. Left foot, I mean, that looks like it's breaking because it looks like it's rolling his ankle. But more importantly is look at how much pressure is now put on that lower right back, where the hips on the left aren't as open as much to the target because he doesn't have to clear the room because he already has room established in the setup, where the one on the right has to clear a lot of room. Now, unless you have very fast hips and your whole body turns open, you're going to do some serious damage to that lower body, specifically the back, because the lower vertebrae of the back do not twist as much. They just go up and down. So they have to clear that right hip as much as they can to allow the back to not be destroyed, but eventually it catches up with you. And as we keep going through, we can see the follow through. Let's back up. Oops, it went right to the end. Let's go all the way to here. So this is the follow through. A lot of turn. Look at that turn. He has to get that whole body to turn through because of the way he's set up. He's too close to his body, and he has to create a lot of manipulation room for the body. Where the right side, they still get to that top plane line pretty well, still in the posture. You can see he's still in his spine angle. He's just kind of turning around his spine angle, where Johnny Miller has completely come off his spine angle and pushed into it. And that's that reverse C finish that he had, and also the stack and tilt that he had as well. But look at that left foot. That's going to pop, and eventually, if this video kept going, watch Johnny Miller's old swings. His left foot comes off the ground and almost moves about 6 or 7 inches further left, where Adam Scott on the left side is very braced and very stable. So what can we learn from this move is you have to have lower body stability to protect the back, and you need some room, because if you don't have room like Johnny Miller, you need to create all this room, and you have to get your whole body out the way and manipulate yourself. And this is where injuries occur. That's where some of these coaches are teaching these children to really drive and tilt underneath, but they have to clear the foot, or if they don't clear the foot, there comes the lower back injury. So I can't tell you how many young players I see with lower back injuries because of incorrect motion. So number one thing is make sure you take care of your lower body, your knees, your ankles, because those are the first things to go. And once they go, your whole golf swing is done. And if you don't believe me, go look at Johnny Miller's swing from about 9 to 10 years ago, and it looks a completely different motion than it is now, because he had to do it. He just got older and his motion looks completely different. Actually, I like his newer motion because it's a lot more quieter. So hope that helps you, and let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like this, hit that like and subscribe, and we'll be doing more of these comparison videos specifically with the old school generation, because I love those guys and they have such unique swings and they made it work, but their careers were a little bit shorter. Feathers and green.